I'm so excited. So, we've got the kit reveal for Leia, GL Leia. I've not even looked at it yet. I've opened up the thing. We're going to look at it together. We're going to experience this as a family. Let's break this down.
So give it up.
My dead body.
There she is in all her glory with some Ewoks chilling in the background. You love to see it, guys. Just taking a look at the icons. That's the basic. She's going to hit someone with a stick. As you do, some Ewoks are going to set some traps. And then she's going to shoot some stuff with a controlled ATST by the looks of things. Amazing. Leia Organa, light side tank, rebel, and leader. No rebel fighter for this one. Offensive powerhouse, able to be competitive with most GLs on offense. That's very interesting terminology. I imagine she... can't do well against certain GLs on offense. Enemy role callout. All abilities do something to enemies based on roles, including new icons showing you what each role the enemy is. Empowers rebel allies, bringing a galactic legend power level team to the Rebel Alliance. Leia prevents all cooldown manipulation. You'll have no fear about having your abilities when you expect them to. That means stuff like JMK is not able to reset the cooldowns on Commander Ahsoka Tano to get the yeet out. Jabba is unable to decrease your cooldowns. Who else does cooldown manipulation? Maul in a Lord Vader team will not be able to decrease your cooldowns. So pretty nifty there. She is a tank that does not taunt, drawing the aggro away from her allies. Enemies will find that they need to target her, but are not forced to. This is meant to emulate how the Empire is always after her. The Fearless buff means you need to attack her to prevent her from punching your squad back. Interesting. Inspiration, we chose the Endor Strike Team version of Leia. Hey, Endor Strike Team, I remember using that as a faction idea. For Leia, for her Galactic Legend, as this was the time where she was very active on the battlefield, as well as in honour of the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. Like she is ambushing you, you can't hide from her squad. She prevents stealths, I guess. She tries to level the battlefield, stopping cooldown manipulation, getting around taunts, dispelling foresight, need to face her head on. So yeah, it sounds very anti-JMK at the minute. Lots of R2 calls out from her time working with the droid, calls R2 assist frequently, never underestimate a droid. She has synergy with Jedi Rebel tanks like Old Ben and Kanan, who I took to R9 recently, so I'm a happy chappy, each of whom she has interacted with in her past. Leia's basically interacted with everybody, let's face it. Strategy tips. Due to how tactical she is and her identity as a key target, she is better served on offense than defense. She can still hold some ground on defense, but she was designed as a more offensive GL, which is completely acceptable. Enemy roles can influence your decision making as well as the abilities to prioritize them. Choosing the right target with the right ability can drastically change the outcome of the battle. Damage the squad received is a big mechanic. A percentage of allies received damage gets converted to bonus true damage for a basic on her next turn. Very interesting. That's a new mechanic entirely. All damage Leia takes heals her allies at the start of her turn for the damage dealt to her. That is going to be irritating. Tactical offensive. Your choice picking which character loses TM, which adds more complexity to the mechanic. Be sure to watch out for stun, making you miss your turn because the buff only lasts one turn. A hard-hitting unit like Captain Drogon can almost one-shot most units in the game, but his ability has trade-offs. This ability has trade-offs. Yeah, so that pairs well with the fact that Drogon has got that unique that when he loses TM, he is gaining stacking offense or stacking damage each once per turn, right? So I imagine you can look to reduce his TM a lot, and then when he does his first basic, which gains like an extra 70% damage, I want to say, it's going to most likely one-shot somebody. Leia's squad can have a ton of out-of-turn attacks between Drogon, R2 and Jedi tanks. Leia also applies Retribution for even more attacks. Wondering how this works against Lord Vader with all that daze? Is there going to be enough cleanses? We'll have to find out. Keeping call to action up is... Oh, she's got call to action. Up is important to generate ultimate charge. Can also gain ultimate charge from Fearless. Why did we gate 3PO and Chewie's unique with GL Leia's? I was wondering how they were going to do it. So 2PO has got a very direct unique where he is he's stealing 40% of the rebel leader's stats at the start. She's a rebel, she's a GL, she's going to have a boatload of stats, so they're obviously going to do something to counteract that. 3PO and Chewie's kit was designed long before the realm of Rebel GL possibilities. We've been better about pre-gating these things recently. Example, Trench excluding Separatist GLs, even though there isn't one now. No net impact on the balance of an existing CLS squad. Does ambush decrease speed? Well, let's go ahead and skip ahead to the kit now. Righteous Retribution. So here's the basic, like the design of the kit so far. So it looks like it's a pretty standard holstered basic, calls to assist. Deal physical damage to the target enemy. Rebel allies gain Retribution for 2 turns. On her turn, deal bonus damage to the target enemy equal to 10% of the damage other Rebel allies have received since her last turn, and deal additional effects based on the target enemy's roll. Attackers, you dispel all the buffs and reduce their speed by 5 to a maximum of 200 per debuff until the end of the encounter. That's pretty cool. You could decrease their speed by up to 200 for the whole encounter. I like that. Healers and support. Dispel all debuffs on all Rebel allies. Wow, that's cool. Equalize Leia's health and protection with the weakest other Rebel ally, then recover 20% health and protection. Pretty huge. So, attacking attackers, she's going to debuff them. So she's going to dispel all their buffs, then she's going to reduce their speed by up to 200. Attack a healer or a support, and you're going to equalize health and protection with the lowest Rebel ally and recover 20% health and protection. If you hit a tank, call all other Rebel allies to assist and reduce the target's max health by 5% per Rebel ally until the end of the encounter. Very useful at chewing through tanks, getting rid of all that max health. That works particularly well against Lord Vader, I guess, because they have no protection, so all their protection is converting to max health, so you'll be able to chew through things like Royal Guard, like Reva pretty well, I'd say. Special 1, Rebel Ambush. So she goes up and thwacks him with a big old stick. Bloop. Easy peasy. Interesting droid, by the way. Deal physical damage plus bonus true damage equal to 10% of Leia's max health. Remove 20% turn meter, so you might want to be modding the skill for a boatload of max health. Remove 20% turn meter and inflict a stack of ambush on the target enemy until the end of their next turn if they do not already have ambushed, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Rebel allies gain 10% mastery, nice, and 25% stacking potency until the end of the encounter. This ability cannot be evaded or resisted. I like it. And then you inflict debuffs on the enemy based on their roll. Attackers get dazed, healers get staggered, tanks get buff immunity. Ambush is negative 50 speed, that's huge. So yeah, it can't, it's a stacking one? Okay, it stacks, but the speed loss only stacks once. Gain an additional stack upon receiving damage. At 6 stacks, lose all stacks of ambush, and gain ambushed into... Alright, fine. An ambush is still negative 50 speed. Protection is disabled. Immune to protection up, and bonus protection. That's pretty huge. I mean, obviously it's not that great against certain setups, but that's very good against chunkier setups like Jabba. So that's got a cooldown of 4. So we'll see if we've got a way of... No, there's no way to manipulate cooldowns. So I'm wondering how that's going to play. How are you going to get enough to get 6 stacks of ambush? Curious. Tactical Offensive Special 2. She calls down a load of trees from the Ewoks in the background, I guess. Final text. Dispel all debuffs and remove 100% turn meter from target other ally. So this is what you would do turn 1 to remove the turn meter from Drogon to boost his offense. Deal physical damage plus bonus true damage increased by 1% per turn meter removed from the target other ally to all enemies. Okay, so you're doing, yeah, if your ally Drogon, say, has got like, 99% turn meter when you do this, then you'll be able to do 99% true damage. That's pretty huge. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Remove call to action from all allies, then all rebel allies gain call to action for 4 turns, which can't be copied or dispelled, and 10% max health stacking until the end of the encounter. Wow, this is cooldown of 4 as well, so you can stack up your max health infinitely over the encounter, so the longer the battle goes on, the chunkier they're going to become. On the next turn, target other ally gains 50% offense for their next ability, and if it is their basic, they gain an additional 2% offense per turn meter removed, and ignore protection for that ability. Yeah, so this is why Drogon is going to hit so hard. He is going to gain an additional 50% offense on their next ability. If it's the basic, he's also doing 2% more offense for all the turn meter removed. So you're going to want to set this so that he's got a lot of turn meter about to go max. You use this ability, you do an AoE, then when he goes for his next turn, he's going to do 50% more offense, 70% additional damage on his basic, and then additional offense over here based on the turn meter removed. and he ignores protection, so he's just going to shoot right under it. Amazing. If that target ally defeats an enemy during their next turn, they gain 50% turn meter. Target other ally gains stealth and 150 speed for 1 turn. Wow. So he's going to go pretty quick when you do that. I suppose that's supposed to offset the fact that you've just stripped away all his turn meter. Inflict debuffs to each enemy based on the roll, which cannot be resisted. Wow, so attackers are getting crit chance down and crit damage down for 2 turns. Healers are getting potency down and tenacity down for 2 turns, and supports. Tanks get defense down and vulnerable. Wow. Unique one, forever our princess. Love to hear it. At the start of battle, R2-D2 gains 75% max health, protection, offense, and potency. Stealth for 1 turn and assists whenever Leia uses a special, dealing 50% more damage. Huge bonuses to R2. Damage R2 receives is reduced by 20%, and rebel allies recover 10% health whenever he attacks out of turn. Wow. And don't forget, guys, R2 is going to actually be sharing those stats. It's only 10% of his stats that he shares to his allies, but considering he's nearly doubling his stats, he's getting 3/4 additional stats. It's probably quite significant. If all allies are rebels, at the start of her turn and each enemy's turn, Leia gains Fearless, if she didn't already have it, until she receives damage, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Whenever an enemy's turn ends while Leia has Fearless, she gains 2% max health. All enemies lose 5%. That's cool. We haven't had much in the way of mastery removing. I nearly said siphoning there, but this isn't quite siphoning. This is just removing mastery. We haven't had a heck of a lot of mastery removal in this game, so that's good to see. All enemies losing 5% mastery and 15% defense and tenacity until the end of the encounter, and Leia gains 4% ultimate charge. So you really are going to want to be hitting her, because if she's got that Fearless, your stats are going to be draining pretty quickly. Because there's no cap on this. There's no cap. This mastery can presumably go negative, which means you'll start losing your stats, stuff like accuracy, offense, crit damage, crit chance, all that good business. And it looks like you could lose all of your defense and all of your tenacity. When she has Fearless at the end of her turns, non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 5% mastery until the end of the encounter, and Leia gains 4% ultimate charge. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Leia can't gain Fearless if she has a taunt effect, so if she's marked, then I guess she can't gain any she cannot gain any Fearless. At the start of her turn, all other rebel allies recover health equal to 100% of the damage Leia received. Wow. So if you do 50,000 damage to Leia, everybody's going to recover 50,000 hit points. If their health was already at 100%, they recover this amount in protection instead. Okay, that's good. Whenever a rebel attacker or rebel support ally is dazed, they gain bonus protection 100% for 1 turn, so that basically is anti-Lord Vader mechanics there. Whenever an enemy is ambushed, all rebel allies gain foresight for 1 turn. Whenever a Jedi rebel tank uses an ability on their turn, Leia assists. Okay, so that's sort of in support of Old Ben, in support of Kanan, for example. It's very specific, Jedi, Rebel, and Tank. There aren't that many of those. Fearless. All allies are immune to expose and fear. All allies have got 50% offense and tenacity. Wow, that's huge. That is absolutely huge. She's got the Galactic Legends Zeta, which is the same that all Galactic Legends have. Essentially, they are gaining 10% additional max health, max protection per relic amplifier level, so you really want to pump those relic levels up, and the damage they receive is decreased by 30%. Leader? I know. Ah, nice call out to Han there. All rebel allies have got 40 speed. Non-scoundrel rebel attackers gain 25% mastery and 50% max health and protection. This is essentially to make sure you don't actually use OG Han, I guess, and OG Chewie, because you don't want to give them 25% mastery and 50% max health and protection. Jedi Rebel tanks gain 100% defense for 2 turns at the start of each encounter, protection up 50% for 1 turn whenever they gain taunt, and deal bonus true damage equal to 20% of their max health whenever using a basic ability against an enemy with protection up. That's very, very specific scenario there. That protection up, I believe that's going to be people like JMK teams. So 20% of their maximum health, that's going to be quite a significant amount of damage, truth be told. So yeah, maybe Kanan could put some good work in here. Rebel allies take 25% reduced damage from out-of-turn attacks and are immune to max health reduction and plague. And plague! That Night Sister combo that they were kicking out there, they've decided to say, no, Merrin, you're not messing around with this GL. And you can't reduce their max health, so gas is out of the question. Whenever enemies attack out of turn, non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 1% mastery stacking until the end of the encounter. Okay, so the enemy attacking out of turn lets you gain all that. That's pretty nifty. I mean, that's very useful against JMK, very useful against Jabba. I suppose there are some fringe uses against JML as well because of all the coining that's involved there. By coining, I mean inherited teachings from JML, his leadership ability. At the start of each rebel's ally's turn, dispel foresight and stealth from all enemies. Wow, okay, so that helps you deal with Lord Vader teams and JMK teams quite well. Whenever enemies with less than 100% turn meter gain bonus turn meter, rebel allies gain 100% critical avoidance stacking, and the enemy and Empire enemies can't gain bonus turn meter for one turn. All right, okay. Fair enough. Whenever a rebel ally has their turn meter reduced, they can't have their turn meter reduced again for one turn. Whenever an enemy is revived, all rebel allies gain 10% turn meter. So reviving, I mean, there's the Jabba team, obviously, with Santi. Santi is able to revive just the once. You can get some revives, obviously, in a JML team. A Rey team in GAC. This will be very useful against the likes of Ben Solo. Enemies inflicted with burning from a rebel ally can't recover health, and if burning is dispelled on an enemy, they take 20% of their max health as damage. The only problem is this doesn't really impact Lord Vader, but it will impact everybody else, I believe. Well, almost everybody else. Whenever a rebel ally inflicts the enemy with burning, they gain damage immunity for one turn. Wow, you're not killing that R2-D2, are you? Or Drogon, for that matter. The first time a non-scoundrel rebel ally loses all of their protection, they gain second wind for 3 turns, which can't be copied. A new ability. Allies and enemies are immune to cooldown manipulation. The first time this character would be reduced to 1% health, dispel this buff, and recover 50% health and protection instead. And here is the ultimate. You love to see it. These are my friends. So we go ahead, we call in the ATST, looks like Chewie's man in it, shooting off the lasers, pew pew pew. Final text, gain 4% ult meter charge whenever an enemy's turn or Leia turns ends while Leia has a stack of Fearless, and 1% whenever a rebel ally deals damage while they have call to action. Deal true damage to all enemies equal to 30% of Leia's max health, 90% against enemies who are ambushed, wow, triple the damage against ambushed enemies. Remove 100% turn meter, inflict ambush on all enemies for 1 turn who do not already have it, and if all allies are rebels, fracture all enemy until the end of Leia's next turn, or until she is defeated, which can't be copied, dispelled, or resisted. Now, those of you that do not know what fracture is one of the best debuffs in the game. Whilst fractured, you cannot gain turn meter, you cannot gain buffs, you cannot do anything, basically. Well, you can actually gain bonus turns, but you don't actually take the turn until fracture ends. Against GLs, it works slightly different. I believe it lowers their counter chance and maybe their defense. They still can't gain buffs, but they can still take turns. Same thing applies to raid bosses as well. So, yeah, fracture until her next turn is quite nice. It's quite nice. I have a feeling that, you know, if she takes too many turns too quickly, then you're just going to get the enemies out of fracture soon. But you basically stop the enemy from doing anything until Leia takes another turn, which is kind of cool. Obviously, the GLs can still act. All rebel allies recover 100% health and protection and gain tenacity up for 3 turns, which can't be dispelled or prevented, and other rebel allies gain 50 speed for 2 turns. Wow. If this ability defeats an enemy, revive all defeated rebel allies, and they recover full health and protection. Wow, okay. All non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 30% mastery until the end of the encounter, and other rebel allies gain an additional 50 speed for 2 turns. Can't be countered or evaded. Okay, so against a GL, it's going to be quite useful, obviously, because you'll be able to fracture the entire enemy team. Fracturing the entire enemy team means they can't really do much of anything good, right? So that's always useful. If you happen to kill someone with it, you'll revive. My only issue with that is there's quite a lot of anti-revive mechanics baked into a lot of GLs. For example, Slacker, when he's in his ultimate, if he kills anybody, they're not coming back. C, when he links characters, there's no revives on that. Jabba, when he eats somebody with his Rancor, you can't revive from that. Lord Vader, anybody that dies while he's in his ultimate, you can't revive from that. So really, Rey, when she whirlwinds, you can't revive from that. So basically, everybody has an answer to this, apart from, I want to say, JMK and JML, outside of adding a unit like Watt with weapons tech. So I think it does have its uses, but I think the revive use is probably a little bit more niche than other things, but it could still come into play. Overall, this kit, pretty damn cool. I like it. I like the model. I think the model looks really good. The animation of that is pretty cool. I like it. You know, stealing an AT-ST, getting Chewie to blow people up. What's not to like about that? Who do I think we're going to run with this? I think it's quite likely that you're going to run a Rebel tank. Obviously, you're going to run Drogon and R2. Those two are an absolute cert. There seems to be quite a lot that's trying to stop you from running things like Han, Chewie, and C-3PO, and Chewpio, because of the deliberate anti-synergy involved with those. So I don't think you're going to be running them. There can't be any cooldown manipulation, so using C-3PO in this team doesn't have that massive benefit because the translation isn't going to be reducing your cooldowns. You could probably still use him just to gain the additional stats from translation, but I don't think overall it's probably going to be too worthwhile. So who could we use? I think Kanan would be okay. I think old Ben would be okay. I think you could try and run something like Zeb, but it seems to be very specific around Jedi Rebel tanks. I think she's probably going to struggle a little bit with certain enemy types. I think C is going to have not really that many issues dealing with her, truth be told, because there's a lot of buffs, and I think his link is going to be quite useful here. Overall, I think she's probably going to kill most quite easily, truth be told. I think it's going to be great. I really, really can't wait. What it does mean, though, guys, is normally we do not get these kit reveals until right before the actual GL Leia comes to the game in this case. She's probably coming this week or next week. And I know that Nisa is not yet free-to-play farmable. Scout is not even free-to-play farmable. Drogon has only just arrived on the game. So we are getting this GL release very, very soon. It's going to be whale food for the short term. But if you guys can be cognizant that, you know, this new upcoming raid is supposed to be hitting by the end of the year. So try to make sure that you're on the ball to get her unlocked as soon as you can for the raid. Wow, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. I have a lot doing this. This kit looks sick. I can't wait to use it. I'm not obviously going to have my own Leia for some time yet, but I am working towards it. Let me know what you're going to be doing with your Leia. Peace out, guys, and may the Force be with you.